All
All
right.
right, go ahead.
I'm the first child of Georgia, and I was left in Detroit when I was 4, never to see her again until we contacted her, and I met her at 24, expecting Mark, and he's still got a little 5. She's got a 5-year-old still having babies. So anyway, that's my story. But I'm fine.
She found us.
Oh, you have to say your age?
You find.
That
How
just-
old are
oh,
you?
my age?
You don't have to
I'm
say your age.
82. I'll be 83 in September.
Yeah. and
Okay, you're
Okay.
next.
Vance, go ahead.
This is the other giveaway.
I'm Aunt Nancy to everybody. I came into the family when I was 46 years old because Georgia had a little problem telling everyone where she was born and what her name was and how I was adopted and sent to an orphanage. So when I came into the family, I was 46 and I inherited this group and all of you in one phone call.
Yeah.
And
It
I
wasn't overwhelming at all.
No, not at all.
No.
And Uncle Donald and I have 2 kids, your cousins, Jennifer and Philip.
Yes.
And I am the next down, and I am 72.
You are
No, you're
not.
She's lying. You lie. 74. No.
No.
Say it again.
You're picking a number.
78.
Now you're talking about because when I found Nancy, and when you talked about then Philip came in and says Philip and Gina went to school together.
Philip and
They were
Gina
in
went to high
high
school
school
together.
Yeah.
But you
First
didn't
cousins.
date
That we
and
did
got
not
married.
date.
They
I
never
said-
knew. And I heard
First
first
Yeah,
Yeah.
cousins.
And that's how. That's
Didn't
how.
even know each other. Same time.
You may not know this, but I asked Philip, I said, do you know a girl named Gina Ferguson that goes to Shepherd High School with you? And he goes, she's hot.
Definitely don't date after that. So, but then Nancy, I found you, and it was a real.
Okay, 2 minutes is
I
up.
think. Yeah, I'm the MC here, right? Nancy, when I found her, was like just stunned because I said, I think I'm your biological brother. And she goes, is your mother's name Georgia White? I go, yeah, that's her mother. And then she's like, I can tell
How
you,
many
you were
are there?
starting to
How many
pray.
of you?
No,
That's
you
it.
asked, do you have a sister Pam?
Oh, yeah, that's
You
right.
knew about Pam, but I said, well, I hope you're sitting down because there's 7 of us all
Yeah.
together. That was a very shocker for her. But
Yeah.
for her husband, Don, where's Don at? I said, Don,
Don.
you were sitting there
Somewhere.
like
There he
that.
is
You're
in the
sitting there
back.
like watching all this thing. And when he said, he says, I feel like Jane Goodall watching the monkeys. So then my big sister, beyond the big sisters, if anything, Carol raised me, Debbie.
Well,
and
I
Chris.
started out as an only child, the oldest at one time.
Everybody else talks, yeah.
I don't know what happened though.
And then you
I'm narrating. So many bosses. in
Are you
here.
done?
Oh,
Are you
I am done.
Okay.
So I was the oldest for 20 years. So I like took over the siblings and I was, 14 years older than Chris and 9 years older than you. So I was built-in mom. And then these 2 came along and then I went from being the oldest and the most loved to the middle child.
You want most people
Wait,
forget
wait,
about
wait, Debbie's the middle child, aren't you? Debbie's
Well, I'm
the middle
sort of in the
child.
middle.
see,
I'm
okay.
three and a
Yes,
half.
so
I'm 3 and a
Debbie's our
half.
middle
Yeah,
child.
yeah.
Debbie's
So,
our middle.
and then Pam coming into my life when I was 20.
Oh, you
and
should have
Nancy
seen the
coming
look.
at 45, and my brother Paul, wherever you are. Where are you? 35.
I didn't change that much.
I was 35 and he was 25, but I still believe that story for a while, so.
You know
but,
what, that I came into it?
What?
You didn't believe what story?
When you came into our fold.
You found us, you
You
showed up at the
shocked
door.
everybody when
That's
you
what
showed
started
up.
the chain reaction.
Right, yeah, actually,
But you know what, I
there's
said,
a lot to this story.
Yeah, a little bit.
There's a lot.
we need to toast Georgia.
We should, but let's go through the group first. It's
Yes.
It's
We'll
Debbie's turn.
toast her,
Just
'cause
so
we
to let
wouldn't
everybody
be
know, when
here.
we did all our
Aw.
DNA
She
testing.
did it her way. That's it.
Yeah, we
When-
did a DNA testing.
we did
Who's
the-
your daddy?
Yeah.
Who's gonna write that book?
We did, wait a minute, we did it once through the University of New Mexico for the people that were in the 9/11. And then here's the real split your hair. Pam and Nancy are 100% sisters.
Yep.
Same mother, same father.
We don't
This
look
is the
alike.
only
I'm an
Walsh.
only
She
child
is
of the man
only
that
Walsh
stuck
child.
through it all.
The only one. The only Ray and George
I'm
Walsh.
only the child of, I'm the only child of
Yes,
Brigham.
I was gonna say, shouldn't we add
But
all
you
this?
know
'Cause people would be
what?
like,
Nancy
what?
and I we're legitimate.
You're Harry
Because
Dickey's
you're
Bell.
married to
They're
my
Harry
mom.
Dick's
We're
children.
Harry Dickey.
Now we got too many details.
Yeah, but we are legitimate. The rest of
Well,
them
just so
aren't.
you know, his name was Harry Dickey
Oh,
Bell.
wait a minute,
We
we're
refer to him as Harry Dick.
yeah.
He's their father.
Yep.
Birth father, let's get that down.
Sperm donors, what I call them.
And then comes,
Sperm donors.
then comes Deb, our Italian sister.
Yeah, none of us are Italian.
Deb, you got the floor.
We're all one.
I've always been the, as you can tell, no matter where we added on, I've always been the middle. I try to be the peacekeeper. It doesn't always work well with this group. I never really looked like my siblings that I grew up with. So everybody just figured I really was the one that didn't belong. And until we got our DNA done and found out there was bigger questions there.
And I questioned it being the oldest for a number of years. Mother worked in a Mexican beauty shop under an assumed name
Yeah.
doing hair.
false
And
license.
I'm always like, because she was so different, I'm like, Mom, were you poking the Mexican guy behind the shampoo bowl? Oh, how could you say that? Oh, maybe this
Because
happened.
there's 5 different fathers here? Because there's 5 different fathers here?
5 different daddies.
5 different dads.
Who's your daddy?
Go ahead, Deb.
Before my mom passed away, I have to say, I thoroughly probed her numerous times, couldn't get a straight story out of her. And finally, she gave me this story, and I'm beginning to think it's the correct one.
The red cow.
That she worked at a television repair shop, and it was attached to a furniture store. And that there was
Elfish
a
furniture.
guy that worked there, and they were both complaining about how their spouses and that. And I was a one-night stand
On a red velvet couch.
And the reason I'm with all these milk white children, and I'm the only one that tans, when I get my 23andMe back, it turns out I'm almost 50% Italian.
Buongiorno.
So how many different nationalities we all have so far?
My grandfather, that I got through somebody through 23andMe, that is actually named Vincenzo Coglinis. So I think I may be a little bit Italian.
What was the grandpa
I
get?
did get an apology from my mom 2 days before she passed away.
Oh, you did?
And that put me at peace. That was all I needed.
I didn't get one.
I didn't get one either. I don't know if I got one.
I got it. I got it.
Oh,
It's
you
like,
got
so
it.
what do you
Be a
want from
peaceful
me?
kid.
What do you want from me
All right.
after I die? And I was like, not a damn thing. Yeah, it's like,
You know what?
maybe the truth?
So,
Could have left me with a happier person.
We
I
are.
lived with a drunk grandmother
Who ran a boarding house?
who ran a border house. I had to make beds, and her sister took her husband.
so where did the midget come in?
Hated
There really was a midget.
Yeah, there's midgets in the family.
It's in the Bell side.
That's a Harry Dickey Bells. They're a little.
All right, our 2 minutes.
All right, go ahead.
I'll be quick with
Turn it into
mine.
an epic.
I'm part of the
Go
keepers. I was captain.
You're the
so-
MC, okay, let's go.
So,
Okay.
don't
They
you
say
dare.
hurry up.
But it was, and I'll talk about, we probably will later, about some of the trauma we went through all this, but there was good and bad times. And the bad times were when we got the DNA test that was through a university that was doing the 9/11 people. And Chris came up like not
Nothing.
related at all.
She
She goes,
didn't
I've been
ask.
taking care of her for 50 years.
I've been wiping Dad's ass and I'm not related.
She went back, so hysterical. Mom says, "You're my daughter. You're not." So she offered DNA, which really.
That really helped.
Okay, me.
Really helped.
Well, I'm number 5, right?
You're number
Okay,
5.
And this is my 100% brother.
Yeah.
So this is 1 father, 2 fathers, 3, 4. Okay, and then we'll get into 6.
We'll get it.
You know, but
Six?
but yeah, actually it's Pam and I's fault for doing this, cause she
Oh, he
had,
tried
both
to
of us had this
hypnoptize
thing.
me.
Yeah,
He
had to
said,
find
have
out
you ever
where.
been hypnotized? I said, no. I'll remember what I remember. That was all I could give you.
Well, what we did find out, you remember Nancy, the mom pregnant with Nancy, and that was the real
Yeah.
clincher.
Yeah, Grandma
That's
told
where we
me.
knew we had a chance, there was kids out there.
But I think that started up after we had the sisters trip where we were all talking about blood types.
Yeah.
We were in
Yeah,
San
yeah.
Antonio.
Real life sisters all have B
Be
blood.
positive.
And I'm O.
Chris is an O, John's an O, and I go, that was raised.
Me.
And then they come to me
Yeah.
and I'm with my uncle who's
Be
an
positive.
We're all B
anesthesiologist.
positive, yeah.
And he goes, what's yours? I said, A positive. He went, no.
We're like, you can't be.
I said, September 11th, I donated
We were
blood.
in
I
San
was an
Antonio.
A positive. He kept going, no, you need to check this out when you go home. And I did, and I was an A positive.
Yeah, so,
And that triggered
That
everything.
fired everybody.
yeah, and actually the girls took off, they were always going on their yearly trips and stuff, and really making up for lost time as a family. And you know what, one thing I learned the most is not judging Georgia or things like that. Her and Ray were never married, we know that for a fact.
But she wasn't divorced.
But she wasn't divorced.
That came
But
later.
They
Dad's-
did get married, but
but
it
yeah,
wasn't a legal
but-
marriage.
They never got
They
married.
never got married.
Oh, they never got
Yeah,
married?
she went to a communion or
Nope.
something, they said that
But
she took the
that
oath
will
and now she's
change
married.
my dad's original marriage certificate
Because it
and
was
put
forged.
Ray Walsh on it.
So you get his fire pension.
So he get his pension.
So we could
So
get
the other
pension?
kids that don't know, my dad was on Chicago Fire Line. He, you know, after the war, Sean here? He's not here yet. After the war, Sean and I followed, his footsteps in Germany through the Hurricane Forest and all that. See, he was through a lot of shit when he came back home. So, but I always felt there was something missing, you know? And then once Pam and I started going, that was it. We were gung-ho.
Put the stories together and,
Yeah,
you know.
so we put that together, but anyway, there's all sorts of stories later on, they'll tell you personal ones, but when we had the second DNA testing, where Paul and I had the same father, and then Chris has another father. So,
that was his son.
well, here's the thing though, I always said, Georgia gave her a license to meet other men because she was never married to Ray. Never. So as far as I'm a single mom. That's it. You know. So I mean, and that time was brutal. It really was. In that time period, you were looked down. Well, all his family's from Ireland, the Walshes, and he brings home a Baptist pregnant woman from the South. You might as well have brought the devil in that house because the grandfather from Ireland wasn't gonna let her in the house, and it's that whole Protestant.
And they
Catholic
knew
thing.
that she had left me
Yeah,
and was
it wasn't.
pregnant with Nancy.
It wasn't good, you know. It got to the point where Dad pulled a gun on his father. He was gonna shoot him, and the brothers went nuts. So he always was a black sheep, but he was a good man. He really was. And so Paul, okay, my real brother.
It's my turn,
It's
yeah.
your turn, yeah.
He's the one that started this all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was the one that initiated the whole thing.
But we were glad.
Yeah, so I was 25 years old, and I had a girlfriend. Well, actually, I should start from my mom. My mom, who adopted me, always told me I had siblings, but I never really cared much about it. It's just because this was my adopted family. I had 4 brothers and a sister. They were all treated me great. And I had a girlfriend one day, and she's like, "Come on, you need to go find out. You need to find out." So I did. I got my adoption papers. Walked up to the door, knocked on the
Yours
door.
was a truthful
Well,
adoption.
Dad was selling a truck, and he went to how much for
He
the
was
truck?
selling
And
a
looking
truck.
at it, landing like this.
Yeah, right. Well, no, and I sent the girlfriend up to the door.
yeah.
I didn't go up to the door. Yeah, right. Well, she was the one who wanted to do it, so I was like, "You go."
Rosie, wasn't her name Rosie?
No, yeah,
Oh,
she
yeah.
comes running back going, "That's your father, that's your father." Here to find out it really wasn't.
But you look like him.
You ain't the only
Yeah,
one.
but it looked like, yeah,
We
right.
thought you
So,
were.
and I guess I'm the one that initiated everything.
You did.
It
Doing
started,
that, and,
yeah.
and it's amazing because I really didn't want to do it. I probably wouldn't have to this day
I
if it
didn't
wasn't
wanna
for
do
her
it
saying,
either.
"Go,
for doing it.
go to that door. Go look at a parent. Don't you want to know?" And I was like, "No, this family adopted me, and this is my family right here." Not really knowing what I did. Now I'm so glad I did it. It was just amazing.
Yeah,
It was amazing.
It's been a rough journey for everybody because I call it reverse adoption.
Well, remember.
Well,
Find out who your
but
baby are.
actually, how many people would have never met if I wouldn't have
Oh,
done
yeah,
this?
it changed our whole.
Nancy, well, you wouldn't have looked up Nancy, right?
No, you actually, when you did start the ball rolling, I called Pam, I said, Pam, we got a brother.
I was sitting on the couch with Mother, and I said, okay, it's time now, we need to look for the sister.
Yeah.
No, we don't.
So anyways, let me tell you
She'll
what the
find
beginning.
us.
The beginning was, I was born when I did meet Ray when I was
You were born.
25 years old. And he's like, oh, I thought you died at birth. Or no, he said, I thought you were dead. And I was like, oh, no, I'm here. Let me talk.
I remember
So
at one
I was
point
given up
thinking
for
you were a girl.
adoption. It was called a gray adoption. And my adopted mother, my biological mother, Georgia, all went to the same doctor. And they called it a gray adoption back in the 1950s. And the doctor actually knew Georgia wanted to give a baby up and knew of this woman
that's how it
who
happened.
wanted a child.
Okay.
And he asked Georgia, she says, I know a great family that wants a baby and you want to give Paul up for
that worked
adoption?
out
She did.
good.
She gave it up for adoption. So I was
did not know
2-3 days old when I left, when I was adopted.
And guess what the
And the doctor's
guess
name
what
was
the
Paul
doctor's name was
Rosbrow.
called, Dr. Paul.
There's
You know,
Dr.
like,
Paul, Dr. Paul Rosbrow, and Georgia, the one thing she did ask, she said, can you ask the adopted parents if they'll name him Paul? And they did.
Well, you misspelled my name on
right,
it.
Yeah, what was your name again? Amelia.
At least you're not named
So that was the beginning part. And then I went through 25 years of life and I looked up the family and then I called up Georgia. That was bizarre. Like I was like, I don't know how to really put this, but my name is Paul and so and I was born in 1958, March 18th. And is there a possibility you're my biological mother? And it was dead silence.
well,
And I was like-
Chris got involved in that.
I was like,
Chris got.
whoa, I was like, I think I'm probably making a mistake, or I'm sorry for bothering you. No, hold on. Yeah. And I was like, ooh, we got something on here. And she's like, you very well could be. And then, so I set up a meeting, we met at a restaurant, I said only her and me, and you showed up. I was nervous as hell, meeting one, and you all, oh yeah,
Chris
these
and
are
I
your
picked you
sisters,
out
and
in
I'm
the
like,
parking lot before
what?
you got in.
What?
Chris and I picked you out in the parking lot when you were heading in.
No kidding.
Before you even got in the restaurant. Chris and I knew. They go,
Oh.
there he
And
is.
you're kind of bitter. You're bitter with her. You get a lot of, lies. Because all three. There's three of us. They would just basically just give it up. When you have a baby, you just give it up.
Well, I was 4 when she left me, so that's
You've had a lot of therapy.
pretty.
it was
I
just-
did get
And
there.
then-
that's in
and then,
therapy.
here's the
I
craziest
was
part.
angry
So I'm giving up
for
for
50
adoption.
years.
Then they had Chris and Gunther.
I gotta thank my daughters, they put those photos, if everybody had a chance to see those pictures, you see Paul like running away from her. Okay, all right, Chris, the little
All right,
sister.
I'm number 7, and the story about me, what I heard was that Mother was going to get her one fallopian tube that she had left, was going to have surgery, and was all set to go to surgery, and that's when they started doing pregnancy tests. And she had the hat on, they were ready to roll her into the surgery room, and the doctor came and said, uh-oh, surgery's canceled, you're pregnant. And she got hysterical, and the doctor slapped her. He told her he'd give her a little something to see if I'd disappear, but I didn't.
Oh,
So,
really?
yes.
I didn't know
I
that.
was the only one she was in labor for 3 days with, and the cord was wrapped twice around my neck. She ended up having a C-section.
I did
And our
not
father
know
went and got drunk and went home and passed out, went to sleep, and no one knew I was born until like 2 days later. And
I remember coming home at lunch and sitting at the table. I'm like, what about the baby? He goes, oh yeah, you got a sister.
Well, I can tell you.
I'm not done yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But anyway, I had a different relationship with Mother and Dad because when I was 16, Dad had gotten married, so everybody was grown up. And then I got pregnant, and she stood by me, and Brian had to go to California, and it was her and I shoveling snow, cutting grass, catching mice, doing everything that we did, and she was my rock. She never let me feel sorry for myself, and she always told me to be strong and keep my sense of humor. And all the things that she gave me and taught me, I hold dearly to my heart, and I was blessed to be holding her hands when she took her last breath. My father was, I always thought, because I had such arthritis, that I had old eggs and drunken sperm, but it ends up, my father was only 28 years old, and he was 10 years younger than my mother. So I have young sperm into old eggs. I found his family, and they don't want anything to do with me. They choose not to have anything to do with me, and that's fine. I have a family.
Yeah.
That's my story.
Well, tell them about our pact we made.
What's that? You know what?
We never forgot.
We never talk about each other behind each other's
No,
back.
our pact was, we didn't care who our fathers were, we loved each other.
Yeah.
That was
That's
our
the most
pact.
important
We
part.
didn't care where we came from, we just loved each other.
And the only thing I will say at the end is we need to make a toast.
Yeah, we can. To
Georgia. Think of the good parts about her.
Georgia.
She was a riot.
She did it.
I mean, I don't know.
Cheers to Georgia.
Georgia.
And you know the part that all the grandkids love Georgia. All of you. I know.
You heard how
Your
this all
brothers.
came
I mean, they
together.
loved
Well,
her.
and I have a very different,
Well, let me, because I'm gonna do it.
wait.
We're done here, I'm gonna shift it over to you
but I
guys.
have a different appreciation for her now as an adoptive mother.
Yeah.
We waited 809 days for Hazel, and if it wasn't for her mother who chose to place her for adoption, I would be her mother.
There's, I never put those
And
two
so
together.
there is something about a mother who can't care for her child who chooses adoption. I love Hazel's birth mother, and I will till the day I die, because she made me a mother. And
You not miss her. You
I
lived
love
with her
her
all
for that.
your child.
And I have
She was
to think
great
the
to you.
same about Grandma, that she couldn't care for her child, and she gave someone else the chance to be a mother, which has been my greatest gift in the entire world. And if it wasn't for Vanessa, who made that decision, I know that Grandma suffered her entire life for giving up, we say nowadays, placing for adoption, because I feel it in Vanessa when she reaches out to me and asks for a photo of Hazel, and she loves that child. And I will always love her, and I will always share Hazel's life with her, because it was the most difficult decision she ever made. And it was the happiest day of my life, and the happiest day of Kurt's, and it was her hardest day of her entire life.
And no one knows their backstory. They
No
do it
one
all for a
knows the
reason.
story, and I have to believe Georgia felt the same way. And I'll love
No
her.
one knows.
When I first met her, when I first met Georgia, she was like, I knew one day you would find me.
Because your
There's
adoption
another
was
side
truthful.
to it.
Yeah, she did. She goes, I was like, she was like, I was hoping that one day I would have this book. And she had this smile and just kind of just wouldn't stop looking at me. And it's kind of like, here I am, like, yeah, lady,
you were a
But no, there was something there. She really.
And Blanco, I don't know if you knew this, your mother wrote her the most beautiful letter. Your adopted mother wrote her the most beautiful letter, thanking her profusely for the love and the happiness that you brought to her life. It was a gorgeous letter, and I think I have it somewhere, and I will find it for you. She thanked her,
I know my mom's ready.
thanked her for you, and said how much she loved you and how much happiness you brought in your life. And see, everything worked out.
My mom told me, well, I knew I was adopted like when I was 8 years old. And really didn't understand it back then. But then as years went on, she kept saying, especially as I became a teenager, she's like, you do have siblings, you should go look them up. And what adopted mother would do that? Well, I guess,
was very
look up your
interested in
family. And I was like, nah, you're my family, and that's it. And then 16, and then 18, and 20, and then finally 25 years old, I'm like, maybe I should. You know,
Well, we're glad you did.
you know.
You know, you know what?
and
How about cheers to Paul?
That's right.
You know what? Well, we got nieces and nephews and cousins and brothers and sisters
Oh, this
here,
is
and
amazing.
you've never seen us together. So now it's your turn.
Well,
Anybody
wait a minute,
ask
wait.
us any question? you
One
want.
more thing. Kyle, yesterday going to the wedding, he said, I remember meeting all these people and we were all pretty small and young. And I was like, but you want to know the craziest part? Every single person standing in this room has the same blood running through their veins.
We're all Cajun.
And but
We got
just like Don said, we
20% French.
just didn't have enough, and don't have enough time to get to know each other.
And Nancy just recently found out something about mother's history. Nancy.
What'd you find?
Oh, what, oh, we're daughters of the
We're
revolution?
all daughters and
We are
sons.
possibly daughters of the revolution.
And
I
that
have
I was
somebody
shocked.
working on it.
What?
Do you know what our great-great-grandfather's name is? Pinky White Alexander.
And he's quite
Pinky?
famous, but
Yes.
very
He
famous.
lived 100
Pinky
great.
White.
And he
Pinky
was
White.
blind.
Now, what
No,
were you
Pinky
thinking
does.
about the KKK, dude?
That's
All right.
You don't want him to
I'm not gonna say our family go down
That's
the
how Sherry is.
No, I mean, this is history.
Wait a minute, it's on the French part of it because Delia, our grandmother, on Georgia's side, that she was related to a family by the name of Bourdelon. And there's a Bourdelon, Louisiana. It's a town. They're twin brothers. One was the mayor. He owned a hardware store. He did this and this. And the other brother was the head of the Ku Klux Klan. Murdered his wife, but they never could prove it. So that was part of the Delia connection. It's not in the bloodline, but it's. Well, yeah, it would be.
It is?
Yeah, it would be. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, come on, folks. Anybody want to ask? We'll start, Katie. Katie, what did this do to you when all this started? I mean, the kids here really. I don't hear anybody